Okay, so welcome to our weekly talk. I'm glad to share with you some consciousness about the most powerful portion of the week, being my birth portion. And so just a couple of passages, one that connects to the angels and one that connects to the ark. And so in page 450, verse 124, so it talks here about the fourth standard is the face of man under the dominion of the angel Raphael, and it brings healing. We read of two silver trumpets that break the judgment and subdue them. So I'll read it from the Aramaic, and then we'll continue with the English translation, interpretation, explanation. דגלה רביעה, אדם, רפאל, מערב בעדי הסוותה בסתרה דאדם, יתכליל דינה, אילאה עלה, אסתה האי אחיד בקרנוי, דשור כד מבאל עלה, לון לתהומה, רבה, וחפית לון דלה יוקיד עלמה, בתרדה, שריה כל דממה דקה. הכה מילה בחשאי לה משתמה, מילה דעברה כלל. The fourth standard, which is the standard of Ephraim camp, from the aspect of the living creatures is the face of men. From the four angels, it is Raphael, and he travels on the west. Since all these are aspects of Malchut, with it is healing. Since on the side of man, the uppermost judgment is contained in it, and it is healed. He grasps the horns of the ox when it wishes to bring him to the great depth, and he binds them so they will not consume the world by fire. Following this, a thin, small voice abides. Here the matter is very quiet, so that no syllable is heard. So it's very abstract, but what we can take from this is the unseen world of angels, of energies, the energy of mercy, the energy of judgment, the energy of healing. And so this isn't something that we take for granted, right? Like you have people that go to the hospital, and likely people that go to the hospital are people that need to be fixed, to be healed, to be treated of some condition. And so it isn't granted that because you will go to a hospital or you will go to a doctor that your condition will be taken care of. It is not a guarantee, right? Otherwise, everybody would go to the hospital and come back healthy and strong. And so we are talking about it knowingly, or maybe it's like a little bit, unconscious that, like we are meditating to send you healing. We talk about healing energy. So in one aspect, we know that healing is not something that is physical, tangible, or that is given because you have a doctorate or because you're a professor or whatever specialty you have, or you're a surgeon, right? And each one of them might have like a certain percentage of success and a certain percentage of no success. And no success means basically, bad news, basically. And so what I'm trying to say with this is that, this portion talks about a lot of these abstract ideas and energies that we're dealing with, and we want to focus on the energy of healing because this is what Raphael brings with him. And sometimes when you think about it, going to the doctor, going to see a specialist, going to the hospital, you are relying on the things that are of the physical reality to bring you something that is not from the 1% reality. Everybody follows what I'm saying? So you go to the doctor and you basically put your life in the hand of the doctor, you put your life in the hands of the surgeon because you trust that he knows better than you. Most likely that's the chance. But you trust that this person is going to be in charge of your health and he's going to be in charge of your healing. So sure, in the 1%, we can say, yes, they are there to treat the 1%, to treat the symptom, to treat the side effect, to treat whatever is in the 1%. But they're not in charge of the energy of healing. Did that ever occur to us as we speak about it, as it resonates in our mind? We are relying our lives and our health in those practitioners that we need, right? Because that's where we're going to go if, God forbid, there is a problem. We're going to call 911, ambulance, doctor, whatever. But at the same time, they cannot be in charge of that health, of that healing energy. They cannot be in charge of the healing energy because they're not the ones to bring it to you, right? So they will do everything that they have learned in school or whatnot in their years of experience, but they can know and practice and do everything right by the book. And then something happens and this person didn't make it and we just don't know what happened. We did everything right? And today, especially in the United States, every hospital is taking extra precautions because they're scared of all sorts of lawsuits and whatever. In the outside of the United States, it's not like that. But it's also to some degree. And then, I've heard countless of stories like this where we're upset at the doctor, at the hospital. And again, this brings us back to that, conscious understanding, but we're relying on a 1% system, and not just relying, trusting that they will bring us something that is not part of the 1%. Do you understand what I'm saying? Healing is not part of the 1% because you can check all the boxes and it's not a guarantee that this person is going to be successful at bringing you health. Healing is an energy. The same as judgment is energy. Mercy is an energy. Compassion is an energy. Love is an energy. Right? So you can say, robotic words such as I care about you and I love you, but not really feel it. The person is not going to feel it, and you can say it all day. Right? The person is going to have doubts, and we see this a lot of stories of cheating and whatever. Of course I love you, of course, but the person feels that something is off. There is something that governs, our physical reality, that we are in our sixth sense, in our intuition, we're in touch with all the time. So we know what we're talking about right now to be true. Healing is an energy. So the question, so how can I bring to my life this type of energy? How can I draw to my life this angel of Raphael, who is in charge of healing? And so what would be, in your opinion, what would be the first answer that comes to your mind when you're thinking about that? How can I invite Raphael to come into my life and to invite into my life the energy of healing?
Maybe to say the Anabakoach or scan Pinchas, or actually ask for help, ask the angel to come and assist you. Because from what I understand, angels need to be asked to do what they do?
So to answer the first part is of your answer is a little vague. So of course it is important and powerful to do the Ana Bekoach, the 72 names and prayer in general. But when it comes to the command, and I'm almost using it like in a computer language, like in order to enter a certain command, it needs to be very specific, very specifically coded, because if there is like one misspell or there is like a, like a command that's going to be a little bit too vague, it's not going to invite the answer that you're seeking in a computer language. In an energy language, it's the same thing. The more specific you are with what it is that you want to invite, and the more it's going to come. And the more powerful is going to be the answer. So there are countless of angels, and each angel is in charge of a certain pillar or a certain type of energy to be a chariot, to channel that energy into your life. Raphael, as we're taught by the Zohar for this week, is the chariot to bring the energy of healing. So if I want to bring the type of energy, I am going to do the Ana Bekoach, but part of the Ana Bekoach, I'm going to say, Raphael, I need you right now. And to imagine and to visualize and to even like literally or in an abstract way, open the door of your house and invite that angel to come into your house, and whatever it is that you guys are going to do individually to invite that, like the more specific you are, and the more it's going to come, the more it's going to be answered. But at least the part that I want to bring out of all this idea is that it is Raphael, and he travels on the west, since all these are the aspects of Malchut. With it is healing, since on the side of man the uppermost judgment is contained in it, and it is healed. He grasps at the horn of the ox when it wishes to bring him to the great depth, and he binds them so they will not consume the world by fire. Following this, a thin, small voice abides. Here the matter is very quiet, so that no syllable is heard. So it is in that subconscious part of us that we are, by the way, that we attain, that we achieve when we are praying, when we meditate, that we can go into this place of very precise prayer, calling for this specific angels, calling for this specific type of energy to come into our life. As soon as we come back into, let's say, reality, we are in the reality of Malchut. We are in the reality that is ruled by judgment. By the way, again, the energy of judgment, when you're talking about Zir and Pin, it's not always bad. We translated the energy of judgment in the realm of Malchut always as bad. Judgment is like a bad taste. It's like a bitterness. But in the tree of life, the energy of judgment, Gvura, is a necessity to create balance, because Gvura is the left column. And so the left column is needed in every aspect to bring balance with everything that we do, everything that we feel even. Like right now, you have like an impulse, you have a desire to share. How can you make sure that this energy of desire to share is balanced, right? And so we have learned through classes, etc., that if we want to balance the right column, we need the left column and we need the central column. So what's the left column when you have a desire to share? What is the greatest desire to share that we may have when we want, the greatest desire to receive that we should have in our mind when we desire to share? That is the desire to receive light. So I am sharing, but my utmost desire is that I'm doing this to receive light. And so very often, we also, in order to activate the central column, comes restriction. The restriction of instant gratification, resisting the impulses of receiving somebody who is going to give you a compliment, like not to take it like in a, because that can destroy you, or that can like really cancel the energy of the sharing, right? So to give you an example, like when I would give a class and there would be like 150 people in the class, and then at the end of the class somebody would come and would say, wow, that was like the most incredible class, I'm so happy that I came, you changed my life. And I'm telling you, every single time I would consciously do a restrict my impulse to feel good about it. Yes, it is good to receive compliment, but then you need to move on. The problem is that if you're receiving this recognition and this approval and it feeds your ego, there goes all the energy that you shared. And so nothing wrong with sharing, nothing wrong with receiving. We just need to make sure that we're activating the central column on both sides. When you share, you need to activate the restriction, and when you receive, you need to activate. So it sounds like, oh, but obviously it makes sense, when we're receiving, we needed to do restriction. It is probably the most difficult to restrict, not when we are receiving. Why? Because it's more obvious. The most obvious is when you're receiving. It is much less obvious that you need to restrict when you're sharing. Why? Because when you're sharing, you think you're doing the right thing. Why do I need to restrict that? And that's where Satan is going to hide. That's where the opponent is going to hide, because it's the least obvious. You don't need to think about it twice. When you have like an impulse to share, you just go for it like wholeheartedly, and you're not thinking about like, I'm just doing this and I don't want anything in return. This is where the opponent traps you. This is where we're trapped. What do you mean you don't want anything in return? Do you understand that with every action, you must have the 3-column system? With every action. And so if you are doing an action, an act of receiving, there needs to be restriction, which would lead ultimately to sharing. So for example, you are going to gift, somebody that is practicing the 3-column system, and he's going to say, no, really, I'm okay. Now you're like in a position, what do you mean? Like, I want so badly to share with you, you don't want my help? No, I'm really good. I'm like, I can do, but I see you struggling. Why don't you want my help? And you're trying to convince this person that you care about, that you want to share. And the person feels like a little bit, like it switches at some point where the receiver is becoming the giver, because now he's making you a favor. Okay, I'm going to do it for you. It's because of you. But you're the giver that just switched the giving into receiving, because you came with this impulse that was restricted. There was like a pushback, and now you want so badly to share, and this person is refusing or is like resisting, and now finally is accepting. You are becoming the receiver. And it is in those instances where the restriction in the camp of giving and in the camp of receiving, that we activate the 3-column system, that truly there is that awakening of balance, which generates energy. And then that energy, you can lead it and you can direct it wherever you want. But if you are sharing with no restriction, it's a short circuit. If you're receiving without restriction, it is a short circuit. What is a short circuit? Yes, there was some light, but then it just went into smoke. So you can take that light that you have now generated, that became like a powerful ball of light, and you can direct it towards healing, towards success, towards soulmate, towards peace on earth, towards inner peace, towards like a peace of mind and tranquility, whatnot. Energy is generated. Energy cannot be given to us for free because of bread of shame. So the angel Raphael is available to us. the same as the tens, the hundreds of thousands of other angels that are available to us. But in order for us to access this light, this energy, we have to sort of tune ourselves into this dimension, into this frequency, this angelic frequency, where there is always a total balance. So when I'm activating the 3-column system, I'm activating my frequency to be elevated to the level of those angels, which, in other words, I'm connecting to the energy of abundance and I'm connecting to the energy of healing when I'm doing that, when I'm activating the 3-column system. So I can read all day long, I can do all day long the Bekoach and whatnot, but if all day long I'm activating the central, the left column without balance or the right column without balance, I'm not inviting anything. And and throughout the day, day after day, we are doing a lot of things that we should check boxes, and it's still not drawing the energy that we want to draw in our lives. And this is why a lot of people get discouraged. Why they get discouraged? Because they say, I'm sharing, I'm donating, I'm doing volunteering and charity, and good things don't happen to me. Because it has nothing to do with the right thing to do. You can do the right thing to do, but there is no 3-column system. Or you can do the wrong thing to do, and more likely, there is no 3-column system. But at the same time, why is it that the Baal Shem Tov says that like the criminals and the thieves have a better chance to open the upper locks in the upper world more than a tzaddik, more than a righteous? Why? Because if the thief is doing restriction, and it's more likely, it's like more obvious, like your left column, desire to receive for the self alone, instant gratification, being reactive, being angry, being emotional, and whatnot, it's more likely that you're going to just be stuck there in the left column. So, okay, so we know that this is maybe the most difficult, to convert, to change this energy from desire to receive into desire to share when we activate the central column by restricting, etc. Okay, we got this idea of the filament and everything from all the classes that we've taken. The biggest trick for most people out there that they think that they're spiritual, they're good people, they're doing the right things, that's where Satan is tricking us the most, because we translate this as spirituality. We translate it, we determine or define this as being a good person. You can do all day long good things and it doesn't generate enough light. The light that you're praying for, the light of the blessings that you are, begging the universe to draw into your life, has nothing to do with doing the right thing. Do you follow what I'm saying? Yes, questions. Beatrice, I think you have a question. No? No questions. Okay.
She's muted. She's talking, but she's muted.
Oh. Tell us.
She's still talking.
Hold on.
Oh, there. Sorry.
I hear you.
No, I was just wondering, if you were to share money to someone that needed it, but the balance would be if they did some work for you, would that be the 3-column system? Where it's not straight just giving or sharing what you have, but they're doing something for you.
The example that I was sharing is not necessarily for example, when you share anonymously, or when you share, for instance, that's precisely the example. This is why, when you're sharing anonymously is the highest level of sharing, because you are almost removing proactively the desire to receive for the self alone. So you're giving, but there is that proactive aspect that you're really not looking to get anything in return. Where we get trapped is when we're sharing, but 99% of the cases is that we are seeking approval or recognition, or to be loved, or to be appreciated, or to be included, right? And when we, unfortunately, we don't get either the recognition or the thank you, that we, in the back, not consciously, in the back of our mind, we had that level of expectation. Most of disappointment come from expectation. Imagine if you were to share and there was literally, like, imagine that, that nerve of expectation was removed from your system. You'll never be disappointed. You'll never be disappointed if there was no expectation. So imagine, and this is most of us, I'm not pointing any finger, it's including me. Like when I do something and I'm, my Scorpio moon always shares like 110%. But then when it's not appreciated, I get annoyed, I get aggravated, right? After everything, all the energy and all the project and all the get going and all the things that were gathered in people and in energy and in efforts, and people don't appreciate. So there is a level of expectation, and trust me, wherever there is a level of expectation, that is where I failed to activate the central column. Because when I share, what is the greatest desire to receive that we should activate? I am sharing because I want to receive light. And my restriction would come from the human side of me that desire to receive recognition or appreciation. Everybody follows what I'm saying? You are in an aspect where you are in a context where you are sharing money, for example. I think I shared this in class one time. I was going to my grandparents when I was a kid, teenager. I was going to my grandparents. I was taking the train and whatever. Like the trip would be like a 1 or 2 hours each time, and I would stay there for the weekend and whatnot. And my grandfather, who walked to the land and he was growing like fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables, and he was, I was going to help him over there. And here and there, like he would give me like 10, 15, 20 bucks or whatever. And, for a teenager that goes to school that has everything paid off by the parents, it would make a difference because it gives you some sense of freedom, power, whatever. And so I would be motivated because I had an incentive. I would be motivated to go visit my grandparents. But, I realized that, by the way, only when I studied Kabbalah, that I had a motive, that I had, this incentive that I was going to share. Like it was making their day. They were so happy that I was going to be with them. And, I would have such great PR with my grandparents. But at the end of the day, think about it. As I'm sharing with you, at least it's clear for me. I wasn't going to share with them because I was the best, awesome grandchild. I was going because I had a desire to receive something in return. And the times, because they were not giving me all the time, but the times I would go and I would do all this trip and I wouldn't get, money for it, I would be disappointed. I would be borderline upset. And I would help and I would sweat and cut myself and everything, and not even 10 bucks. That expectation takes everything away from the desire to share. Now, if I was to rectify or to do it differently, I would still go to my grandparents, but I would work on restricting my desire to receive anything from my grandparents and to receive light in return. Because the energy of sharing always draws back the energy of receiving directly from the light. But it is settled for less when I am seeking to receive something that is physical. So I just, sold out the energy of light, infinite light, or Ein Sof, by sharing, for 20 bucks, 10 bucks. So let it be.
Sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you.
Well, I was just wondering, how do you prevent bread of shame for the other person who's receiving?
My question is that, is the other person doing some level of spiritual work?
I would say yes.
Okay, so you worry about your own spiritual work and you let them worry about their spiritual work. You need to be more careful, is an intense word. You need to be more, what's the word? Conscious and not creating bread of shame when the person has like zero spirituality, at not crossing the line at how much from the energy of what you're going to give them are they going to translate it into giving back to other people. Because if what you're giving translates into pure desire to receive for the self alone, that's when the pure bread of shame happens. But other than that, if you know that the person has some level of spirituality and is in need, do whatever you need to do from your spiritual perspective and your spiritual work. Let them worry about theirs. But if we can focus on one thing, not on all the different aspects of sharing, focus on one thing when you're sharing. What is the motive? You realize if anything is taken away from this class, every single time that you share, it can be like an advice. It can be an advice. It can be like, some sort of help. I have a friend who is like taking it to all sorts of extreme. I asked him for help about something, and he's the kind that is taking like the study of Kabbalah a little bit too far. So he gave me some level of an answer, but he wanted to make sure that I'm going to earn the answer. So what he did is that he called me about a problem that he had about, activating the stream on Shabbat. So he doesn't have to touch the computer, which is what, we do. And so I helped him, with the computer thing. And after I helped him, so, the word, I earned his answer, he started to answer my question. So it's funny because, how the universe is fixing things. I had like 2-3 phone calls that came as he started to give me the answer. And from my perspective, I did my restriction. I don't want to receive anything in return. From him, I want light from my desire to share because I know that there is a game going on. So the more you're becoming conscious about the desire to share, that when you're sharing, what is your desire to receive in return? If you are becoming clear about your desire to receive in return, that it comes from the individual, that's where you need to restrict and where you need to activate your next level of desire to receive, which is receiving light, pure light. I'm doing this because I want to receive. I want to receive. If you catch yourself thinking or speaking in a way, no, I'm doing, really don't say this. Like, I don't want anything in return. I'm really like, I have zero, you're lying. You're lying to yourself. It is not true. We're human beings, and because we're human beings, we're made of all this physicality, of all this malchut. We have an agenda. Where is your agenda? If you're not conscious of it, he's going to trap you. And he's going to trap you today, or he's going to trap you in 3 months from now. When you are, today you were unconditional. Great, good job. 3 months from now, you're asking this person for help, and he can't. He comes up with an excuse that it's BS. You get so offended and hurt. You know what? Every single time you ask me for help, I was there. For one time I'm asking you for help, and you can't help me, you cannot be my friend anymore. So I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you know how many times I've seen situations like this? Maybe right now you're not conscious of the fact of what needs to be your agenda. You should have an agenda. Who said you shouldn't have an agenda? Why do you think that we call it Kabbalah? We call it Kabbalah because it's the ultimate desire to, what is the ultimate level of spirituality? It's the desire to receive. The ultimate desire to receive is to receive light. The ultimate spirituality is not the desire to share. Oh, wait a second. It's not how to become a better sharer. It's how to become a better receiver of light. And that's the true art. That's the true science of Kabbalah. Is that every single time going forward that you're going to share, accelerate, accentuate, increase your ability to share and your opportunities to share. But you need to make sure that you are also becoming more and more conscious. But wait a second, with this act, with this activity, with this move, with this opportunity, what is my desire to share, to receive? And you need to be more and more conscious. My greatest desire to receive is light. But the more truly you're going to feel that you want light, you want fulfillment, you want healing, but you're also going to be made aware. You're going to be made aware that you have a desire to receive something that is tiny, small from that person. And that's your ticket for the energy. Your ticket for the energy is to be conscious of that little settling for less, of recognition, of approval, of thank you. This is what we need to restrict. And we need to change that. We need to transform that into the ultimate desire to receive. And that is when we can start playing with all the different energies that are made available to us. That we can open the door and say, hey, Raphael, and he's like right in, coming in. It's very foggy and it's very like not clear, full of doubts and uncertainty when we are not cognizant of this balance that exists. That we're not realizing, that we're not really fully aware of all the different agendas that we have. The more we become clear of our agenda and transforming that through restriction with the ultimate desire to receive, that's when we're creating these funnels between me and those forces of the upper world, those angels, those spirits, those guides, those masters, those speakers that are out there, not the prosecutors, those lawyers in the upper world that are here to defend me against all the judgments that I've created. And are here to show me the path of success, the path of mercy, the path of removal of judgment, and ultimately healing, inner peace, and everything that we're seeking, that we're looking for.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
So when you're showing up and teaching us and sharing with us every week, sorry, that's my dog. You are sharing with us, but ultimately you want to receive the light for your energy with us. Is that right?
You know, I think I mentioned that last
teacher?
week. I think I mentioned that last week that Rebecca said, like, every time I end the class, I'm in such a good mood. Not that the rest of the time I'm in a bad mood, but I'm in such a good mood and I'm so uplifted because I consciously know and feel how much light I'm drawing into myself and into my life and into my family, into my house when I share, but I'm conscious about that desire that I want light.
Okay.
But
so
when any of you is going to say or is going to text me after, amazing class, I loved it.
This is why I'm telling you, because is that a...
Are you doing me a disservice when you're sending me a text how great the class was?
Is it better for me to just appreciate in my thoughts and maybe try to send or not energy of appreciation and not verbalize or ever write it?
Like I said,
that's the wrong thing to do.
Like I said, and like I answered Beatrice, you need to do your spiritual work. You need to let me do my spiritual work. Don't take away from me my opportunity to restrict. So if you feel like, like saying what you feel about the class or about anything to anybody, say it. And it's my opportunity to restrict. You're giving me the ticket to receive light.
Okay.
Now, somebody who is not conscious of the restriction part is going to miss the boat. He's not going to see it. He's going to get energy from your compliment. Not that I don't get energy from the compliment, but I don't dwell in it. At least trying to. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining. That was awesome, at least for me. And I'll see you again next week. Wait a second, next week? Is there anything next week? No, I don't think there is anything next week.
It's Memorial Day.
Oh, that's it. Thank you. So I guess no class next week, Memorial?
Oh, we had Victoria Day today, but we're here. We're not using it as an excuse as Canadians.
I
Just
just think that a lot of people are
Well
going to be
said, Beatrice.
right on, eh, Hillary?
Well said.
So who's going to join class next week if I'm doing class?
The Canadian side will.
Yes.
I would, or if you can do, if enough people aren't going to be here, if you wanted to do another Wednesday, if that worked like we did the last time we couldn't do a Monday, or I don't know.
Let me look at the calendar, just 1 second. I can do it on Tuesday at 4 p.m.
Tomorrow?
No.
Next.
Next
got it.
Tuesday.
Somebody got excited.
So that's June 1st,
June 1st, yes.
same time.
Same time.
Okay.
Works
Cool.
for me.
Thank you.
Sounds good?
And
Yep.
merci beaucoup.
See you next Tuesday then.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks,
you.
you heard them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.